You do not want to do this, trust me.
Mask! Copy!
All right, have it your own way.
Mask!
There have always been legendary villains in the Spider-Man saga, but there has never been a type figure like Eddie Brock and his extraterrestrial outfit. This was someone who could easily defeat Spider-Man in a fight. Venom has been a spiteful supervillain and has starred in more negative roles than positive since his debut in the late 1980s, and the extraterrestrial symbiote has found itself in a lot of action. Join me as I take you through the top 10 badass Venom moments. Number 10. SWAT team taken down single-handedly. Venom may not have been an R-rated film, but that doesn't mean it wasn't violent. Tom Hardy, in the form of Venom, got plenty of chances to show off his ferocity, including one memorable encounter with the hapless SWAT team. The policeman had no chance against Venom, who beat the living daylights out of each one of them. He tossed them around like rag dolls, and at one point, he even used an officer as a club, whacking others with it. As Venom strikes from the shadows, the fight makes excellent use of smoke to heighten the horror factor. SWAT's only weapon was flash grenades, but even those were ineffective against the symbiote. Ultimately, Venom emerged victorious, licking his chops and disappeared howling into the night. Number 9. Bonding with Deadpool. The origins of the Venom symbiote are well known among comic book fans. Spider-Man's armor was damaged during a multi-dimensional fight. He was directed to look into a neighboring alien facility for a replacement, but all he found was a black orb sitting inside a massive machine. After making direct contact with Spider-Man, the orb covered his entire body and replaced his damaged suit with a fresh design. Many fans are unaware that Spider-Man was not the first human to wear the suit. That title goes to Wade Wilson, best known as Deadpool. During his tenure on Battleworld, the Merc with a Mouth donned the suit for a short period, but after understanding that the creature was alive and conversing with his thoughts, Deadpool returned the symbiote to its prison. Moments thereafter, Spider-Man appeared, and the rest is history. While it may appear to be a needless retcon, it does assist in explaining why the Venom symbiote is so different from the rest of its kind. Recent comics have revealed that the symbiotes aren't actually wicked, but rather peaceful, and understandably, anything that links with Deadpool's brain would go nuts eventually. Number 8. How about lunch with Venom? Anyone? The 2018 hit saw Venom waking up after having knocked himself out, with a little help from his venomous reflection getting ready to track down Anne. Unfortunately, his condition only got worse. As he storms her table, Anne asks him if he's drunk, which was very kind of her to ask, considering Eddie was all sweaty mess and looked like he had been hitting something much harder than plain alcohol. Venom tears through the scene like a maniac, and it's a delight to behold. Climbing into the lobster tank and chomping on one of its live inhabitants, he manages to ruin the appetites of an entire restaurant. Number 7. Taking over the Guardians of the Galaxy. After losing both of his legs in the war, he turns into the superhero Agent Venom after being bound to the Venom symbiote, which he controls via drugs. This Agent Venom is sent to join the intergalactic heroes as an envoy on behalf of the Avengers, and it's not long before he finds himself knee-deep in their bizarre outer space adventures. The most memorable moment from Thompson's time with the Guardians isn't bringing down space pirates or fighting the Kree. Rather, the symbiote's rampage through the Guardians themselves stands out as the group's one true highlight. It's all fans could have ever dreamed for. In an attempt to flee, the suit leaps from one Guardian to the next, with the symbiote's powers enhancing each member's distinguishing attribute. Rocket Raccoon was scary enough on his own, but seeing Venom develop an arm cannon is terrifying on a whole other level. Sadly, Thompson's time with the Guardians was brief, but fans were treated to some brilliantly inventive interpretations of some of the galaxy's greatest heroes. Number 6. Rescue at the Church. The 90s were a prime time for Venom shenanigans, and in the 1997 comic Venom, Sign of the Boss, Eddie Brock's Venom faces off against a group of terrorists who had taken a South American president hostage, holding him for ransom in a church. At this point of the comic, Venom is an agent of the government, basically a carnivorous alien hitman. So he's sent to South America to fix the situation. Using the symbiote's ability to copy and texture the material, Eddie has the genius idea of disguising himself as a nun, which to me and every other reader's genuine surprise actually works. After locating the gun-toting bad guys, Venom rips them to shreds in front of a group of choir boys. And as you can imagine, this traumatizes the young children, so Venom tells them violence is an adult thing and offers them bars of chocolate to help them cope with the fact that he just dismembered a bunch of people. However, some of the boys don't accept the chocolate at first, causing Venom to get frustrated and yell, "Come on, take it." You don't get to see Venom any kinder than this. Number 5. Saving the Underground City. The 90s were a strange time to be a comic book fan. Though Venom's debut in 1988 had been an incredible introduction, and the follow-up was a worthy successor, the incredible demand for the symbiote led to a litany of strange storylines. Though Marvel's The Hunger miniseries stands out for many, it simply can't hold a candle to the time where Venom saved an underground city buried beneath San Francisco. After discovering the underground ruins, Venom teamed up with Spider-Man, yes, the same hero that the symbiote was supposed to hate, to stop a surprisingly well-armed construction crew from demolishing the underground city and wiping out its populace for a stash of buried gold. The team-up was good for a change. Number 4. The birth of Carnage. When Venom initially debuted, there was still a lot of uncertainty surrounding the symbiote. Nobody knew where it came from or what its full capabilities were. Most people felt the symbiote had been developed intentionally on Battleworld, so the concept of a second suit seemed improbable. After being thrown into a coma by another supervillain, the Venom symbiote rebonded with Eddie Brock, while also breaking him out of prison. Around the same time, the symbiote also left something behind, which Brock was unaware of. A solitary, red-tinted spawn. As Brock's former cellmate, the mass murderer Cletus Cassidy, watched Venom leave, the spawn found its new host. Ever since then, Carnage has been one of Spider-Man's and Venom's most feared adversaries. Unlike Venom, the Carnage symbiote and its host are molecularly linked, making it physically impossible to separate them, no matter how hard they try. Cassidy's fractured psyche and violent instincts were terrible enough on their own, but with a symbiote, he became practically invulnerable. Number 3. Chase on the motorcycle. In the 2018 blockbuster, Brock is pursued by several goons across San Francisco in the days leading up to Venom's big unveiling. The city's distinctive rolling geography offered a unique yet demanding retreat, full of thrilling moments. The role performed by the symbiote, of course, set that hunt apart from any other you've seen previously. Venom's tendrils kept him on the bike, in situations that would force even the most experienced rider to flee, as well as shielded him from different hazards and weapons. Of course, the symbiote-assisted jump was the high-octane, imaginative sequence's crowning beauty. Number 2. The best of both universe. For those of you comic fans who would remember, Access was a superhero jointly owned by DC and Marvel, whose job was to make sure that both worlds remain separate and don't bleed into each other. In the first issue, Venom finds himself in Metropolis and forgets that he's supposed to be the kind guy around this time. Instead, Venom goes on a rampage until Superman and his post-resurrection mullet arrive. This should have been a simple fight, given Superman moves planets with his bare hands, and Venom is just a stronger Spider-Man with a bucket full of weaknesses. Not to be so. Venom throws Spider-Man around like a ragdoll. The two have several fights, and each time, Venom absolutely humbles Superman, making him look like a complete joke. Access brings Spider-Man into the DC world to help fight Venom, and even that isn't enough. Put Superman and Spider-Man together against one Venom, and he still gets the better of both the superheroes. Number 1. Going mad while battling henchmen. In the 2018 film, post a phone call from Anne that got interrupted by the symbiote and discovering its weaknesses for loud noises, Brock is already pretty on edge when Drake's goons show up. The sequence that follows is incredible. Combining expertly crafted CGI with a terrific performance by Tom Hardy, it's one of the great fight scenes between Venom and Brock in the entire movie. But it's made even better by Hardy's superb physical performance. He does an excellent job of conveying the fact that his body is not totally his own. We are guessing the fight choreographer enjoyed creating the sequence as much as we remember witnessing it. So, what do you think? What has been your top Venom moment over the years? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and like us. I'll see you next time on the channel. Until then, it's goodbye.